What are WR archetypes in fantasy football? Imagine trying to build a winning team and knowing exactly what kind of player you're getting. That's where wide receiver archetypes come into play. They are categories that describe how a wide receiver typically plays, how they are used in the offense, and what kind of stats they usually produce. Understanding these archetypes helps you make smarter choices when analyzing players and projecting their future performance. It also helps you see how each receiver fits into your overall roster strategy. Let's start with the outside wide receiver. These players line up on the edges of the formation. Their main job is to run deep routes and make big plays downfield. They often have the potential for huge fantasy points because of their ability to catch long passes for touchdowns. But they can be unpredictable from week to week because they usually get fewer targets and relying heavily on the quarterback's accuracy and offensive scheme. Think of them as high-risk, high-reward options. Next are the slot wide receivers. These players line up closer to the offensive line, usually in the middle of the field. They run shorter routes over the middle and catch a lot of quick passes. Because of this, they tend to get more targets each game, making them more consistent, especially in points per reception leagues. They're less likely to have huge breakout games but are reliable for steady weekly points, especially if your league rewards receptions. Then there are balanced wide receivers. These players can do a little bit of everything. They line up both outside and in the slot, making them versatile. They can stretch the field with deep routes and also work the middle with intermediate passes. This mix makes them less volatile and more predictable, no matter what kind of game plan the team runs. They're often good options for long-term rosters because they can adapt to different game situations. The alpha wide receiver, or wide receiver one, is usually the top target on their team. They get the most targets, are involved in most passing plays, and can produce elite fantasy numbers. These players are often the primary focus of the offense, whether they are outside or balanced types. Because of their high volume, they are usually drafted early in fantasy drafts and are considered cornerstone players. Finally, the boom or bust wide receiver is a player with a lot of upside but also a lot of risk. They might be deep threats or young players with inconsistent roles. Their weekly production can swing wildly depending on the matchup, quarterback play, or game flow. They can win your league if they hit their big games but can also leave you disappointed if they don't. Knowing these archetypes helps you set expectations for each player. Outside wide receivers might be better for late-round upside plays. Slot and balanced receivers give you more consistency, especially in points per reception formats. Alpha wide receivers are your early-round staples, and boom or bust players are your high-risk, high-reward options. Combining different archetypes on your roster can balance risk and reward, making your team more resilient across the season.